Tells are in, justice, so we just best to rest him for a while and wait till you're 100% fit.
Well, Jeremy will be joining us in commentary in race 2 today, that's for sure. Now, there was a lot of speculation that Jeremy might be dispensed with at some stage, but you seem to have got over that particular phase of speculation.
Yeah, we seemed to struggle early on in the year, and it was.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, he certainly is, and frustrated that you're not riding, but at least you know what the problem is now.
Yeah, I mean that's right. I've broken my elbow, so now I realise why I've been in so much pain for all these rounds. Instead of getting better, it's been getting worse and worse, and that's why I went and had it re-x-rayed. And yeah, the first time I just went to A&E, and there was a hell of a lot of swelling, and the doctor's never that interested. So he said, "Yeah, you're okay, it's not broke." And then went to see a specialist, and he said, "Oh, that needs pinning." So yeah, it's one extreme to the other. But yeah, as I say, it's nice to know that's been the problem, because it's been so painful. And yeah, I'm going to come back when I'm fully fit and show what I can do.
Did you that bad? Did you know that it was actually broken, or were you just putting that to the back of your mind?
Well, I was just taking double the painkillers, whatever the doctors told me.
It's unlike riders not to listen to doctors, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So just double it and add a few. And so, but it was still caning me, each race. And as I say, it was getting worse and worse and worse. So I'd gone from dicing for third to suddenly, struggling more and more. And the circuit's got more and more twisty and bumpy. And that just amplified everything. So, yeah, I'm glad to get it sorted, to get it screwed next week and be back for hopefully miss Knockhill and then be back for Stettin, hopefully.
OK, thanks very much for the moment. Let's speak to the man who has replaced Sean. If I could just move Rob Mack out the way. You're getting a bit of your reputation. 6 rounds, 3 teams.
I know, what can you say? I'm a piece of Velcro here and I just keep taking the sponsors on and off.
You have ridden for this team before. You had great success at Knockhill last year. I suppose when you're jumping on and off bikes, you've got to keep moments like that in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very difficult, but it's it's a pleasure to be back here on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. And but it is hard because you just get used to something and start making the change, then you're on something new again. So it's it makes it interesting anyway.
You got to grips with the other bikes quite quickly. What's it been like with this Yamaha?
Yeah, again, because I've hardly had any time on it, it is hard to sort of do, and but I've qualified top Yamaha, so that's something. And hopefully I can have 2 good races.
Okay, have a good one. We'll probably speak to you later. Let's go and speak to John Reynolds, because it is, of course, his big return. John, who's not commentating for us this time, I'm sure he's very pleased. What does it feel like to be back?
Oh, it feels great. It doesn't feel good to be back on the 4th row, that's for sure. It really doesn't justify how well things have been going. Things have been going pretty good through testing and up until the qualifying, and then it all went wrong there. But anyway, we'll see how we go today.
Is this the best you've felt since March?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Okay, well, have a good race. Let's see if we can have time to nip down the front. The riders are starting to get ready, the engines are running, but I want to speak to the guys at the front just to prove Johnny Ray is in 3rd. It was no fluke what he did at Mondello. He is fast. Let's try and grab a word with him very quickly. How are you after Mondello?
Yeah, looking forward to this. Just a bit pity about the weather, but it's the same for everyone out there, so we just have to go out and give it our best.
Best of luck. Well, as Johnny said, the rain is starting to fall here at Croft. It's been like this all week.
This is in pit lane. He hasn't taken up his place on the 2nd row of the grid. Here we go then. Rutter gets a good start. Dean Thomas alongside him on the green. Kawasaki, but coming from the outside, it is Kianari. Kianari on bike 6, Rutter on bike 2. It is Rutter that leads into turn 1. Kianari 2nd. Then it's looked under Hawk Kawasaki's that are there. It is Dean Thomas and maybe Glenn Richards also. And yes, it is. Glenn Richards is there. And then the Airwaves Ducati in 5th place. Both of the Airwaves Ducati. Well, we've got 3 doubles.
Bit of team formation there, 2 HM Plant Hondas at the front, and Kianari first ever start for him there, and looks looking like we're way down round Rutter.
And through goes Kianari. I tell you what, He wouldn't believe that this track is still a bit damp in places as it is at the moment. It is Rutter, Kianari, 2 and 6. And is that still Glenn Richards in 4th place, or has he made it up in front of Dean Thomas? No, it's still Dean Thomas in 3rd place. Glenn Richards looking for a way pass, I think.
It's Glenn Richards in 3rd.
It is Glenn Richards who made the pass.
Glenn Richards never raced here last year. He did a bit of practicing, but his arm was too painful, so he quit, and it's the first time that Glenn Richards has raced here.
So, lap 1 of the 22 at Croft. This was the Well, this was the venue for the biggest crowd ever, and through has gone Levere almost had gone through. I thought he pinched a Hawk Kawasaki there for a moment. Levere on bike 36 in 5th place at the moment. So the Airwave Ducati looking for a way past the 2 Hawk Kawasaki's as we come to the end of our first lap. This is the hairpin through the left-hander on the gas now, down past our commentary position, and look at that, Keogh, great drive out of turn, the last turn on the course, but he's got to drop it over the nose of Rutter. They're almost touching side by side. Superb formation riding from these two through the chicane.
Yeah, that left-hander on the start finish, always dodgy in the first lap. It's one of the few left-handers around here. The guys have to be careful on the edge of the tyres, but Kianari, he hasn't given up yet. He wants to get to the front as soon as possible.
Carl Harris has electrical problems, that's why he's in pit lane. Well, that's unusual for one of those Hondas to fail. These two, though, are looking superb. The HM Plant Hondas in front of the Hawk Kawasaki's. And the fastest lap has gone to Rutter so far, 1:27.067 from a standing start, of course. Rutter, Kianari, Richards, Thomas, Levere on bike 36. What a start that was from the 4th row. Steve Plater in 7th place. Johnny Ray from the front row slipped to 8th already. Michael Laverty there behind him. The two Ulstermen bolted together at this point.
Don't forget, it's spitting with rain out there. These guys are fully committed, but the rain is spitting down. They've got what they like to call mental rain on their visors. It's not wet enough to cause any sliding or problems, but they've got rain in their visors, and psychologically that is a big problem.
Psychology being a major factor in any sport, but none so more than motorcycle racing when it's damp on parts of the track. Levere goes third. Levere goes up to third on bike 36, the Airwave Ducati. There is no stop. In fact, that's 4th place. Sorry about that. It is 4th place indeed. So the Levere, well, there's no stopping that Spaniard. I have to say, he doesn't care if he has a lowly starting position, because look at the ground he's made up from row 4 already.
Levere as well, he never has a dry run in practice. He's had to learn these racetracks in the wet and in the dry, but he still comes up with a good on Sundays.
Michael Rutter has the fastest lap of the race so far. The lap record is held by John Reynolds at 1:21.245. So we've got a little way to go before we're lap record pace, but even in these conditions, I think it's going to be broken today. Still Rutter, still Keogh, 2 and 6, the HM Plant Hondas. Well, this is a little bit how they were out in Mondello, these two dominating. Spoke to Taddy Okada when we came on air, and really, it's a formidable team, isn't it? I mean, they came to win last year, the British Championship, with these brand new Fireblades. No one had seen these Fireblades race last year. Of course, it's a slightly different incarnation in 2005, but really a great team.
Hand-built Honda Fireblades coming from HRC in Japan. Michael Rutter, remember last year, was so strong here, so dominant, did the double win here. Kianari's just sitting there looking and learning.
But it's the man in 3rd place and 4th place you've got to watch out for. Glenn Richards on bike 75, the Hawk Kawasaki, as Kianari this time looks to the inside line. Does he do it on the brakes? No, he doesn't. That head-on camera is slightly misleading for us here in the commentary position. Through the chicane now. Richards, it's Kianari who had the fastest lap that last time round, 1:21.734. So he's getting within half a second of the lap record in less than perfect conditions. Look
Levere.
at Levere just got such good drive out of that chicane. That was awesome.
He's got that FO4 Ducati working perfectly. You see, he just lined up Glenn Richards there. He'd been sitting behind him for a lap, watching what Glenn was doing, looking for an opportunity. He can't afford to stay there too long, because you can see the 2 HM Plant Hondas disappearing at the front, but Levere's got a clear track now. Maybe he can make some inroads into Kianari.
Never ceases to impress me just how good that guy is. I mean, Ryoichi Kianari is brilliant. Michael Rutter loves this racetrack, or at least goes fast on it. And you've got to say that Levere coming here, this is the first time he's raced here, obviously. He came here for the wet test, and they had a reasonable wet test, I think, but that's all they've ridden this track is in the wet last Tuesday, and up till practice and qualifying this week. So Levere is just getting better and better, lap on lap.
As you said, he just gets more impressive every week. Kianari, the fastest lap on that last lap, 1:21.7.
Just half a second outside the lap record as they come onto the start and finish straight now. Watch for the 3rd place man, 36, the Airwaves Ducati of Gregorio Levere.
Levere fastest lap,
Yeah,
1:21.1.
New lap record to Levere. That is a brand new lap record to Levere. That's a shock, I don't think. Billy Nutt. Marty Nutt is the fastest Super Cup rider. So the Superbike Cup is being led by 77 Marty Nutt at the moment, son of Billy Nutt, of course.
Second privateer there is Steve Brogan doing a good job. Steve Brogan second in the Privateers Championship at the moment, but he's been strong here all weekend.
You get the feeling, don't you, Neil, that this is just a waiting game for Keogh at the moment. He looks pretty calm, although I have to say a waiting game is probably not the one to be playing when you've got Levere closing in.
Of course not. Michael Rutter will see +0 in his pit board, but Kianari will see on his pit board that someone is getting closer, and that man is Gregorio Levere. Fastest lap on that last lap and still closing in on the 2HM Plant Hondas.
Only on lap 5 of the 22 as well, so plenty of time for this to develop into a real scrap. The Hawk Kawasaki of Glenn Richards just dropping off the back of these guys now in 4th place. Whoa, and look at the other Kawasaki that's come through. This time, the Sendo Kawasaki in the hands of Steve Plater in 5th place. That is a great ride from Plater.
Well, Steve Plater qualified on the front row of the grid in 4th position. His best qualifying for the year. Doing a brilliant job. Had an excellent run at the Northwest 200 with Michael Rutter. Unlucky not to win. Actually finished second. And I'm sure a big confidence boost. Unfortunately, Steve Plater, his teammate John Kirkham, in the crash coming out of the Essex yesterday, and has done some tendon damage to his hand, so he is out for this weekend.
Well, I always hate to correct you, because normally I'm wrong, but Steve Plater on the 3rd row of the grid as far as my reckoning was concerned.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong practice sheet. He was 4th after first free practice. I take that back. I shall rearrange my paperwork.
All I'm trying to do is emphasise just how good Steve Plater has obviously ridden
More
in his own, in these last couple of laps, because he's come through from the 3rd row of the grid. Still Rutter and Kianari in that order, but look how close Levere is now. Levere in 3rd place. Glenn Richards still 4th. Steve Plater up to 5th. Dean Thomas, who qualified in 2nd place on the grid on the other Hawk Kawasaki, bike number 12 in 6th place. Michael Lamity on the Eddie Stobbart bike in 7th place. Leon Haslam down in 8th place at the moment on the 91 bike. Then it's the Vivaldi bike of Ben Wilson in 9th place. Whoa, through, as I read our monitor, it is Keogh who goes through. Keogh has got under the wheelie, Michael Rutter, and now it gives Michael Rutter an opportunity to follow Keogh round. And at lap 7 of the 22, 1/3 distance, it might be a bit of a breather that Michael Rutter might quite like.
I'm sure it caught him by surprise, but what a great camera shot, that overhead shot there. You can see the wet patches on the track, and just perfect for watching Keogh get in front of Michael Rutter now. Now it's Michael Rutter's turn. And we see into that final hairpin, into that final left. Michael Rutter kept it wide, probably the fastest line, but Keogh just nipped up the inside there, nicked that 1st position.
It's the kind of manoeuvre that you might expect from Keogh. He's just got so much confidence in that motorcycle for sticking it in the inside. Kianari, Rutter and Levere, that's it. Now then we'll see if the pace is upped by Keogh and whether he drags his teammate along and away from Gregorio Levere behind him. Jonathan Ray has dropped down to 10th place now, so the 18-year-old Red Bull rookie man is having just a little bit of struggle with the conditions here today. Of course, in qualifying it was drier, and he qualified on the front row of the grid, so the 18-year-old might be just having a bit of a struggle with these. Well, you need experience, I feel, for conditions like this, when the weather is colder, tyres grip differently, suspension works differently. There are the odd, as you can see, it looks like damp patches, although it's just damp tarmac. And look at that, Rutter going wide there. I think Rutter is trying as hard as he can to stay with Keogh, but I don't think he's got the pace for it, looking at that.
Well, maybe just trying a little bit too hard there, lost a bit of time. Unfortunately, didn't run wide enough to let the be underneath him. Just talking about Jonathan Ray there, there's no question that guy will come good. I'm out there watching, I watched him at every corner at Mandello and also here at Croft. He looks lovely on the bike, he looks safe on the bike, he's very quick and he can put laps together. He's just lacking race time. And what he's doing now is perfect. Running in the top 10, looking and learning. Jonathan Ray will come good. He looks fantastic on that Red Bull Honda.
James Hayden on bike number 18 is down in 12th place. John Reynolds on bike number 1 is behind him in 13th place. Kieran Clark is just behind him. He had good qualifying as well. I expected a little bit more from Kieran at this point, but we'll keep an eye on him on the Hydrax Honda.
You can see Michael Rutter running wide there. Maybe he's chosen some softer tyres than Keogh has. You can see he's struggling for a little bit of grip, pushing hard, but running wide, having a bit of understeer on the exit of the corners.
Gareth Glynn on the number 16 bike. That's the Gentin Racing Yamaha in the Superbike Cup class. He has fallen at the hairpin, but he's perfectly okay. So Gareth Glynn has fallen out of this race at the moment. Still Kianari on bike 6 leads his HM Honda Plant teammate Ryoichi Kianari, as I just held my breath a little bit to see where Levere had gone. He's gone nowhere, he's right there with them.
Right there, lost a little bit of time to Michael Rutter, and isn't charging as hard as he was in the opening lap. Just looking a bit further down the field there, John Reynolds, reigning British champion. John Reynolds on the Suzuki down in 13th at the moment.
Michael Laverty up to 6th place now. Michael Laverty is up to 6th place on the Eddie Stobart bike. Dean Thomas is behind him on the Hawk Kawasaki machine. Just look at Keogh through there. He's so good through that really tight Nadgery stuff that's quite hard to get right, despite the fact they're quite simple corners.
Well, he's just so good everywhere. You can just see he is at one with the bike. He's just looking for a little bit of grip, opening the throttle, picking it up as he loses grip, just timing everything perfectly. And he jumps around that bike so quickly. Bike's always on the move.
Michael Rutter again just a little wide through that complex. He's just not being able to pull the thing down to the apex, and it's costing him just a yard every now and again, and that really is, well, that's what counts in motorcycle racing of this quality.
It certainly does, especially when Keogh just seems to be getting it inch perfect pretty much everywhere, hitting the spot. A little bit of movement from the rear wheel, exiting the corners, but he's picking it up and getting maximum traction.
So on lap 9, as they come down through the left-hander and the flip-flop to the hairpin, bottom gear for the hairpin, just 35 miles an hour when they get down to this section in the middle of the corner, and accelerating up through the gearbox, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, only 4th gear along this front straight, 160 odd miles an hour at this point now, and then back down to 2nd gear for the complex at the end. As we look at 75, Glenn Richards under pressure from Michael Laverty. Michael Laverty is split, 75, Glenn Richards from 4, Steve Plater, and still there at the back of him is 12, Dean Thomas, as we come through that chicane. Michael Laverty, well, he looked very, very good. He's turned that corner at Mondello Park for the Eddie Stobart team. He really did look good there. And again, the 33 bike right on the pace, Neil.
Fantastic at Mondello, and everyone's saying, well, it was his home race, being in Ireland, maybe that's what inspired him, but I think he just came good. He's got that Fireblade Honda, the Stobart Honda, working well here. He's qualified quite well here at Croft as well, and you can see looking for another 4th place in this race.
New lap record, Ryoichi Kiyanari, 120.9. So 120.9 means that Kiyanari is the quickest man out on the track. Rutter still 2nd, Lavia still 3rd. Then it's this battle for 4th place. 75, the Hawk Kawasaki of Glenn Richards, and a really steady build-up through qualifying, as did, I suppose you could say, Michael Laverty. So Laverty there on 33, putting the Kawasaki under all sorts of pressure at the moment. Plater on the Sendo Kawasaki, they are beginning to come up to speed now as well. Very difficult times for the Stobart team and the Sendo Kawasaki team as well. Of course, Sendo running Kawasaki's for the first time this year, and the Honda being run by the Eddie Stobart team for the first time this year as well.
This is a great ride for number 3.
Straight
ride. He's got a lovely riding style, very neat riding style, very relaxed riding style, and you can see that he's got that Fireblade Stobart Honda working really well there, looking really comfortable, and just waiting for his opportunity to get past Glenn there. And you can see Steve Plater, number 4, right behind Glenn.
He's got the pace as well, Michael Laverty, the 23-year-old Laverty from Toonbridge in Northern Ireland. And, Glenn Richards.
He'll be wide, no question.
You are right. I'll tell you what, if he hadn't been wide, you'd have wondered what they were all messing around there.
Glenn took a stab at that, but I think just let the brakes off just to keep everything safe, but unfortunately lost a couple of places in the...
I wonder whether he got it hop, skipping and jumping. I just think he came in there a bit hot and probably had to let him off to steady him all down again. I think he looked to me like he was a desperate man aiming for the gap, and that means he was a bit out of control on the way in. I don't know whether we saw the reason for that particular
teammate Dean Thomas.
Yeah, Dean Thomas is...
But I think Glenn, whatever there, just thought damage limitation was the key. Leon Haslam, I'm surprised at Leon. He was strong here, particularly in the wet testing, but down there in 8th position at the moment, right behind this bunch.
Take another look at this and see if we pick it up early, whether it hop skips. No, I think he actually did take a step for it, like you said, Neil, so you were bang on. I thought he might have just got it back in a little bit, and he had
did
to
pass him, lost a few places.
Passed him and then went to the car park.
Yes.
Let Michael Laverty off quite neatly, because he's already done the work and passed, of course, number 4 there, Steve Plater, so he knows he's quicker than him. And no comeback from Glenn Richards, though. It looks to me like Glenn Richards' bike is sitting down and spinning at the rear end at the minute as well. So we'll wait and see whether there's a bit of a lack of grip coming for number 12, Dean Thomas, on the Hawk Kawasaki, and his teammate Glenn Richards as this race progresses. Of course, well, the only options really are going to be tyre compounds more than anything else. They're all out on slick tyres. The track wasn't damp enough for anything other than that.
Well, that's like Michael Lafferty off the hook.
Indeed. 120.9 was the time for Chianari last time round, it was a new lap record, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Michael Rutter put in a new lap record this time, because he's closed Chianari back down again. This race is not over and done with yet. This is going to go to the wire.
It's not.
Rutter won twice here last year, and he's not going to let his teammate win here again. Every time they've raced together, it's been advantage Keogh.
Yeah.
Rutter will want to get rid of that particular train.
I'm sure he does. On that last lap, Michael Rutter just put his fastest lap of the race in at 1:21.1, so he's on the charge as well. He hasn't given up, as you said, and he can watch Keogh. He can see where maybe he's got slightly quicker lines. Keogh seems to pull out a little bit through this section, through the first few corners of the track.
I think Keogh is very quick on that little tight nadgery stuff, and I think Michael is a lot better on the sweepy fast stuff. Certainly looks to me that way. Here we go, look at that. Having said that, that was pretty fast out there, and Keogh's grabbed a little bit of an advantage again over him. Keogh and Rutter, Lavia still third. He's dropped off the back. So we better mention the tyre situation, of course. Michelin shod HM Plant Hondas, Dunlop shod Airways Ducati. I think Michael Rutter decides he wants to go out wide there, you know. He just lets the bike drift out wide. It's completely different where he and Keogh are on the actual racetrack at that point.
You can see Chianari getting into that corner harder on the brakes, but the front and the rear end of the bike juddering around as he struggles to control it. And Michael just keeps a much smoother riding style, a much smoother line.
So, as Chianari tries to retain the dominance that he's had over not just the field, but his teammate Michael Rutter as well, we can see Lavia back on bike 36 in third place now, 2.9 seconds and more behind these two at the front. It is an HM Plant Honda whitewash at this moment in time. Not what Lavia will have wanted. Of course, Lavia second in the championship at the moment. He managed to get Keogh behind him in Keogh's absence after his big Mallory Park spill. And look at that, 33. Michael Laverty need to keep an eye on his times as he crosses the line. 1:22.7 for Laverty there. 1:22.2, sorry, it was 1:22.2. We go back to number 4, Steve Plater on the Sendo Kawasaki, followed by the 2 Hawk Kawasaki's. I was talking to Stuart Higgin at the beginning of the show, and I asked him if the other Kawasaki's were likely to catch up. Well, the other Kawasaki team, one of the big teams in the paddock, is the Sendo Kawasaki team, and they have caught up because they've passed both the Hawk Kawasaki's at this point.
It's great to see Steve Plater having a good ride. He's been blighted with injury. He's a big character in the paddock, always smiling, always ready to have a joke, and really, and a fantastically talented rider. So it's really good to see that Enzo Di Clementi's teams come together here, and they're getting these Kawasaki's working now.
Leon Haslam on the bike 91 off the back of these 4 at the moment, and that looks like Jonathan Ray, the young Johnny Ray, that has regained his composure on the Red Bull Rookies Honda. What that kid needs is a really good ride right at the front of the field, and I feel once he's got over that plateau if you like, he'll be on it with these guys. He's certainly learned how to qualify, puts in some great time. Look at him there, he's right there with Leon Haslam now.
Glenn Richards passed Dean Thomas there. I think they almost exchanged paint, so it's same colour, so maybe it won't matter too much, but you're right about Jonathan Ray. He just needs...
Oh, look at that from Jonathan Ray.
Underneath
the
Leon.
inside of Leon Haslam. Can't quite pull it down, but that's going to be hectic going into turn 1. Great move.
That's what he needs to be doing, just running with these guys and watching and gaining experience, and he'll come good.
Linda Pelham, of course, from Red Bull, is here, as she always is. Covers a lot of miles, travelling to make sure her boys are working well. Chris Jones in the 125s. Eugene Laverty, yes, one of the other Lavertys in the Super Sports. We'll be seeing him a little bit later on. And, of course, Jonathan Ray up in the Superbikes. I think Jonathan Ray's career, if you like, is remarkable. Motocross, before he came road racing. 2003 in the 125 Red Bull rookie team. Then he had half a year in the British Supersports Red Bull rookie team before moving up to the Superbike team. And I don't think anybody expected him to be as good as he has become after just 6 rounds of Superbike riding.
Yeah, Leon Haslam on the back of that bunch, Jonathan Ray, Ben Wilson on the Vivaldi Kawasaki, he's in 10th, that's a good ride for him, number 11 Ben Wilson. Then right behind him, John Reynolds on the Rizla Suzuki. I've been watching him, he's been following James Hayden on the Virgin Yamaha for quite a few laps, managed to squeeze past him now, so JR getting another place there and up to 11th.
Chris Walker is here today as well, World Superbike, great British rider. Chris Walker is wandering around in the paddock. He's here as a consultant towards the Vivaldi team at this moment in time. I think there's a tentative deal being done there between Vivaldi and Chris Walker to try and bring their team and their 2 riders on And quite interesting from that point of view that Walker is getting involved in a slight managerial role, I think I can put it at the moment.
Yeah, well, Chris Walker, of course, riding Kawasaki's for the PSG one time in World Superbike and having good results. Already been in the rostrum this year and had a strong ride at Silverstone last weekend.
Making me jump again is Michael Rutter. He's so quick round this part of the track. Lap 16 of the 22. His wife Sandrine actually flew in yesterday and is here to support Michael. She's been in France for some time, and I hold my breath. Michael is so good there. Look at this little... Leon Haslam must be wondering what he's going to do with Jonathan Ray. He's got past both Dean Thomas and Leon Haslam now. Glenn Richards is there on bike 75, I think, up behind Steve Plater on bike 4.
Looks like Jonathan Ray's found another gear here.
I think what he's found is the same kind of pace that he's got in qualifying, and the belief that he can actually mix it with these guys. And I think when a youngster finds the belief that he can mix it in it, sure enough, he does have the pace. But once he overcomes that I think that sometimes youngsters have an over-respect for the older gentleman out there, and perhaps he's not going to show it for much longer.
He's got a lovely riding style.
Lovely.
Look at that. Look at that. He's passing in the most obscure places. Brilliant.
Over and under Steve Plater. Superb from Jonathan Ray. Wow, the Red Bull rookie. He ain't going to be a rookie for much longer on a Superbike, because he is riding like a man much more mature than his 18 years suggests.
Yeah, he's doing it easily as well. I was wondering where he was going coming into complex here, but he obviously had the plan and it worked. Passing Dean Thomas and Steve Plater, and now got his sights set on Glenn Richards.
Of course, Jonathan Ray riding Honda, part of the Honda team. If you like, it's the lower level, not that that is the right expression for it. You've got that motorcycle, then just a tad above it, or to one side almost, is the Carl Harris machine before you move up to the two HM Plant Hondas, all under the wing of the Works Honda setup. It's a great team, but at the moment we're looking at 75. Glenn Richards still in front of Jonathan Ray.
Glenn Richards now got his second wind after that mistake trying to pass Gregory Olivier earlier on. Sorry, Michael Laverty.
Still Marty Nutt on bike 77 leading the Superbike Cup at the moment. Marty Nutt is the leader of the Superbike Cup, while we look down on the lead of the Superbike race proper, the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. And Kianari is looking to bag a whole 25 points for this race win. Through the chicane, second gear, 85 mile an hour in the middle of that. Third gear, second gear all the way through that long left-hander, and then the second chicane into third gear, now onto the back straight. Only using 5 gears up to 180 miles an hour at this part of the track. Into Tower. I'll tell you what, Tower lines. Yeah, this is where Michael Rutter always runs out wide at Tower, and second gear for that, 60 miles an hour. Then building up speed.
I think that was wider than normal. It's
he does have some wide lines. Third gear all the way through this section, 114 miles an hour. And if you wonder where I'm getting these speeds from, I actually walked in and spoke to Les Pearson in Michael Rutter's camp, and these are actually Michael Rutter's gears and speeds. Now that was a Honda, looked like the Hydrex Honda there of Kieran. It is.
Kieran Clark, number 74.
Clark. 74, Kieran Clark, parked at the side of the track.
That's a nice little setup Kieran Clark rides for Sean Moore Racing. Really nicely turned out bike looks good, and Kieran Clark, a young rider, talented motocross rider, but a rider that will come good.
Past our commentary position, so say all of us on that, by the way, Neil. I wasn't ignoring you on that. I was just looking down at our monitors to see who was putting in the quickest lap. And still Kianari, 121.2, 121.4 for Rutter. Makes a big difference, those 2 tenths.
Well, they've got a second a lap on the competition. They're the only 2 riders in the 21s.
So Lavia, well, in fact, they've got much more than that. They've got 9.1 seconds on Lavia.
No, I mean,
it's an incredible amount of time.
Yeah.
Back to third place, 9.1 seconds as they cross the line there. A further 6 seconds back is Michael Lamany on bike 33, who's now in front of Glenn Richards on bike 75. Jonathan Ray is still in 6th place on bike 65. Leon Haslam is in 7th place on 91, making up progress. And Steve Plater has slumped to 8th place at the moment on bike 4. Dean Thomas, we're talking the slumps, that's a bigger one, from second on the grid down to 9th at the moment. James Hayden has moved up to 10th place on bike 18. His first ride on the Big Bang Virgin Mobile Yamaha. Worth mentioning that motorcycle is a completely different animal to the one he rode last year. The Big Bang motor takes a completely different style. So James has really had this is his first race on it.
Yeah, James given them a fair bit of success last year when he substituted later on the season, and of course winning at Knock Hill.
Keogh then has made a big advantage, and there is JR. John Reynolds then right behind the Vivaldi bike. Looks like Ben Wilson that he's right up behind. So, oh, that is a hell of a gaggle for JR to have to work his way through there. 11 is Ben Wilson.
Gary Mason, number 3, round the outside there.
18 is James Hayden. JR's clipped him. JR's up and over the bike. Well, that's a good save from JR, but he's just chucked it away in the end. John Reynolds, the defending champion.
Fortunately, he's okay. The main thing, he's okay.
Has slipped off here at Croft. And no further damage. It was just one of those situations. His leg's much stronger than it would have taken to do that. So up the inside, got himself caught behind Ben Wilson, and a little bit of front brake. He's just managed to hang on there, moved across onto the tarmac, and then just slid down as he's feathered that front brake on. And he will be upset with himself on that situation for sure. John Reynolds out of this race at Croft.
John Denning, Paul Denning's dad, walking back on there, but fortunately uninjured, totally uninjured.
Totally uninjured, but I've got to ask you, that looked like JR's fault.
It looked like he was thinking about getting down the inside of Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson didn't do anything wrong there. JR had committed but couldn't do anything about it. Real unfortunate.
Well, you've got to say that even the great John Reynolds could just be a little bit ring rusty. I did mention at the beginning of the show that he hadn't raced since last year effectively. Don't forget, he tested at Valencia, broke his leg, and really the racing that he has done this year so far has only been at 2/3 speed by John Reynolds standards. And coming back into the race series at this time of the year, when everybody's on the pace that they're on, it's just going to take him a little time to come back, I feel. I mean, even though he's such a good rider, it's a sorry sight, I must say. I feel very downhearted to see JR doing like that.
It is unfortunate because he's making good progress there, and it wasn't out of the question. He could have got up to 8th position there. He had a nice bunch of riders in front of him, but unfortunately messed up.
Kianari still leads on bike number 6 on the HM Plant Honda Superb. Second place, his teammate Michael Rutter. Third place, the Eddie Stobart Honda. In fact, no, I'm talking rubbish. It's the Airways Ducati of Gregorio Lavia. We've not seen him for so long, I'd forgotten about the Spaniard. In fourth place is the Eddie Stobart Honda of Michael Laverty, that's bike 33. Now with quite a lead over Glenn Richards in 5th place on the Hawk Kawasaki. Haslam is still in 6th place, I should say up to 6th place. He's regained that position from Jonathan Ray. Right old scrap going on down there. We're on lap 21 of 22. Sandrine there. Comment ça va? Rutter's wife, of course, for those of you that don't instantaneously recognise Sandrine. In fact, his partner, I should say, rather than wife. Absolutely correct. Ryoichi Kianari, 22 years old. He is an absolute phenomenon. Last year, well, Michael Rutter had this place absolutely sorted out and beat Keogh way back into, I think, 3rd place. Michael Rutter did the double here, but psychologically, I would think Michael Rutter is taking a fraction of a beating, because every time he rides against Kianari, when Kianari is fit, Kianari seems to have the advantage.
Well, when Kianari came past, Michael Rutter certainly put the effort in. He put some fast laps in, but wasn't ever going to get close enough to pass him. Kianari, just the machine.
Slightly strange phenomena going on here. Leon Haslam just putting in his fastest lap of the race at the end of this 22-lap race. 1:22 dead virtually. That's, I would say, slightly odd, in as much as that usually tyres are shot by this particular time of the race.
Well, maybe Leon just taking some time to get things sorted out. It can only be good for race 2, but of course.
Yeah, but this is race 1 and he needs to be doing it. This is the final lap and the closing stages then. Ryoichi Kianari. Gotta admire this young man. Superb, over the line, takes the checker flag. Race 1 of the Bennett's British Superbike Championship here at Croft belongs to HM Plant Honda. Michael Rutter 2nd place, and the best wheelie of the day so far goes to him. Gregorio Lavia on the Airways Ducati will come through in 3rd place. Results, Ryoichi Kianari a 5-second lead over Michael Rutter, but more importantly a big lead over Gregorio Lavia, who was 2nd in the championship. Michael Laverty 4th, Glenn Richards 5th, Leon Haslam 6th, Jonathan Ray, but we're going to see so much more from him, in 7th place. James Hayden 8th. Gary Mason, Dean Thomas, he will not be happy slipping down there, as will not Steve Plater either in 11th place. Ben Wilson, after that, coming together with John Reynolds, of course. Scott Smart in 13th place. John Reynolds, his teammate Marty Nutt, the best of the Superbike Cup runners, in 14th place overall, along with another Superbike Cup rider, Steve Brogan, in 15th place overall, but second in